We've told stories about all kinds of fascinating people from Appalachia. And we have another one to add to that collection today about a man whose beard, of all things, earned him fame and fortune far from his humble Western North Carolina roots. Hello, podcast listeners and YouTube viewers. I'm Steve Gilley, along with Rod Mullins, with another one of the stories of Appalachia.
Steve, when I think about a man with a beard earning fame and fortune, I think of a version of this almost like a Broadway story, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Trenchcoat, or whatever it was called. But, I guess it could have been at least a Broadway show, at least at one time or another, this story that we're getting ready to share with our viewers and also our listeners about someone from Western North Carolina that really, I think, turned the world on its ear, so to speak, when it had to do with hair.
Hair is the word. I mean, it's not like he really set out to do anything great or fantastic. He just sort of stumbled into it, so to speak.
Right.
And I'm almost being literal in that case, and you'll find out as we get into this episode. But to tell you about it, we've got to go to Yancey County, which is located in the western North Carolina mountains along the Tennessee border, not far from Irwin, Tennessee. And Yancey County is where Samuel Griffith Brinkley was born on September 21st, 1850, near Burnsville. Now, not long after, the family, along with young Sam, moved to Mitchell County on Snow Creek. Now, Sam grew up to be a fine and good-looking, well-groomed young man who attracted the attention of the ladies, including a girl named Buena Vista Street, called simply Vista, who he married. Now, the young couple settled down in a place called Magnetic City, now Buladean, North Carolina. And Rod, Magnetic City, by the way, got its name from the iron ore located in the mountains of western North Carolina, some of which was mined and shipped out to the world on the world-famous Tweetsie Railroad for many years.
Yeah, that, and also the location of western North Carolina, a general, it's a home for gemstones. And yes, like you mentioned, the iron ore and the supposed magnetic property some of this iron ore had that could heal and cure things, but we won't get into that. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about Sam. He was, your typical Appalachian mountaineer, working hard to bring in enough food to help feed the family, working the farm, and also being a school teacher. But Sam did attain fame in Yancey County on account of his facial hair. You see, that hair that Sam Brinkley had was quite aggressive and vigorous, at least when it started growing. You see, Sam Brinkley was what we would call a late bloomer, whose face was clean as a whistle until he was in his, early 20s. But when that hair started to grow on his chin, it wasn't just one hair like some of us were graced with, I guess if you could say that at one point or another in our lives, one little straggly looking hair. Sam ended up being, I wouldn't say cursed, but it's almost like he was blessed in one way, that his hair started to grow on his chin, and it grew so fast, I better make my correction here as an English teacher. It grew so fast that Sam had to shave 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 times a day to keep himself looking proper. I mean, he did this every single day. From the time he first got up in the morning, from the time the first whisker appeared on his chin, and he just had to shave. Well, by the way, it was said that at the age of 23, Sam's beard would grow at a rate of a full beard every single week. I could only dream about something like this. That would happen in 3 or 4 years in my book, the way that I grow hair. But anyway, it was at the age of 26 that Sam simply gave up. No, he did not take his life or anything like that and just quit. He did something different. He just allowed his beard to grow, and grow it did, didn't it, Steve?
If my beard grew so fast that I had to shave it 3 or 4 times a day, I would give up shaving too.
Well,
But
I would
you know
too,
that,
yeah.
but you know that absence of razor had one result. That beard kept getting longer and longer and longer. By the time Sam reached his early 40s, it had gotten 54 inches long, nearly 5 feet. So you might be wondering, what does a man do with a 5-foot-long beard, especially when he's got to go out and chop wood, cut hay, pick tobacco, and do all the other jobs you'd have to do on a mountain farm? Well, he can thank Vista for the answer. Mrs. Brinkley sewed her husband 2 pouches into which he could store his beard, safely tucked away inside his shirt. One was made from a feed sack. He used that every day. The other was made from silk, which Sam used at night or when he went out to places where he'd want to look presentable, like church. So, he'd take that beard and he would wrap that beard up, stow it in that pouch, put that pouch in his shirt, and he was all good to go. A neat solution. Oh, speaking of neat, Sam was known as quite a fastidious man who made sure to keep that beard shampooed and combed out every single day. Quite a bit of work. Some of his relatives report that Sam Brinkley was so neat and clean in appearance that he could walk on a dirt road in the rain and not get a speck of dirt on his shoes or a drop of rain on his clothes. Can you imagine that, Rod?
No, not really, but I can't imagine someone being so neat about their beard. I can't stand anything to be stuck in my beard whatsoever, and I've known people that eat a grilled cheese sandwich and they're satisfied as long as they've got a big thing of cheese hanging off here and stuff, but not me. I can't stand that. So at least you got to give him kudos for at least trying to keep his beard clean the way he did. But as you would imagine, a 5-foot-long beard wasn't something one could keep to oneself for very long. Soon, Sam Brinkley became known throughout the Tow River Valley for his luxuriant locks. Among those fascinated with Mr. Brinkley's beard were the children he taught in Mitchell County. They would pepper him with questions about his facial hair and beg him to pull it out of his pouch and show it off, which he often did for the kids. Bet he couldn't do that in today's world, the way things are in school. Well, the fascination with Sam's magnificent beard soon spread beyond the classroom, with folks soon coming from all over just to take a look at Sam's amazing facial hair. But Sam? No way, folks. He was no fool, was he, Steve?
He was certainly not a fool. He figured that if people wanted him to pull that beard out, well, then by golly, he ought to get a little cash for it. So Brinkley began to charge onlookers 10 cents a peek at his beard, or if you'd put together a group, why, he'd cut that price to 25 cents for the lot of you. And if you wanted a souvenir, Sam also had a postcard with a picture of that awesome beard that you could buy to take home with you. So many folks wanted to see that beard, Sam managed to put away dollars upon dollars in those 10 and 25-cent fees. Pretty soon, word of that magnificent beard spread far beyond the Tow River Valley of North Carolina, all the way to New York City, thanks in part to Sam Brinkley's marketing genius. You see, he had this idea. He was going to place an ad in a New York newspaper, and he did, the New York Sun, advertising his record-setting beard and requesting anybody interested to contact him about going on the road as a circus attraction. That ad apparently got the attention of somebody important, for before long, Sam Brinkley was hired by none other than the Barnum and Bailey Circus as a sideshow attraction. Soon, Sam was traveling the world with the Barnum and Bailey Circus, billed as the man with the longest beard in the world. As such, Sam would spend every summer for the next 20 years touring the world. Then he'd come back to Buladean, North Carolina to be with his family during the winter months, where he taught school. In his travels around the world, Sam Brinkley met several famous people, including the King of England, Edward VII, who he was introduced to when the circus made a stop in Canada. And it seems the king, who had quite a beard himself that he was very proud of, wanted to meet Sam. He left the North Carolinian an autographed photograph of himself, and Sam did the same for the king. But beyond the king, Rod, there were some other people that he got to meet who were famous in their own right, namely a group of sisters. Is that right?
That's right, the Sutherland sisters. And you have to be able to picture this in your mind. Okay, if you've ever followed country music or pop music at one time or another, you've probably heard of the name of Crystal Gayle. Crystal Gayle is a diminutive young lady. Well, she's not. She's a little older than me. I stand corrected, Crystal Gayle, if you're listening to this podcast. But she's still very attractive. At the same time, she had probably some of the longest hair that anybody had ever seen in such a long time. Well, the Sutherland sisters had her beat by, what would we say, Steve? Several feet? Maybe a couple of feet
I would
or
say
more?
a country mile, to be honest with you.
That might be it. But, he toured with these ladies. And, there was a picture that I saw recently of Sam Brinkley. I think, how many were there? Were there 4 or 5 sisters?
I think there were 4 or 5. I don't remember the exact number.
I don't exactly remember the number, but I do remember there were like 2 over on his right side. If I was standing there where he was, and that would be my right side, there were 2. Maybe there were 2 on the other side, but he was there in the middle, and then the ladies, and then down below on the floor, the hair swirled up down on the floor and stuff in the picture. And then here he is with his beard, all for the world to see, displayed in front of everyone. In all, Sam Brinkley toured with 3 circuses throughout his career: Barnum and Bailey, the John Robinson shows, and the Ringling Brothers Circus. Now, he also toured with another traveling show, Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show, throughout America, becoming friends with the main attraction, Buffalo Bill, and with Annie Oakley, who was one of the star attractions of the Wild West Show. But in all, Sam Brinkley traveled to 46 states and several provinces in Canada during his career. He also appeared at several curiosity museums up north during this time, in places such as Chicago and New York, always getting press attention when he would return home to Mitchell County by train.
Now, he was also a big attraction at carnivals throughout the South when he made an appearance. All the while, Sam's beard kept growing longer and longer and longer. In a newspaper article in April 1913, it was reported that his beard had gotten to 6 feet 2 inches in length, causing Sam to cut it back to the more manageable length of 5 foot 4 inches, so it would continue to fit into Vista's pouches. Sam Brinkley was offered money to promote some Wonder Tonic, said to grow hair, but he refused, saying that, quote, "The good Lord grew this hair on my face, and I ain't lying about it." Now, a little side note here, those Sutherland sisters that Rod told you about got the same offer, from what I understand, and they accepted it, but no word on if they made any money in the deal or not. Now, here's a story about Sam's beard, told years later by his nephew. Some of the Brinkley family lived in Johnson City, Tennessee, and Sam would often come over to visit for a few days. Now, since the house only had room for the immediate family, Sam would have to bunk with his nephew for the nights he was there. One night, the nephew reports, he had a strange dream about being caught up in the hay as it was being cut and baled and not being able to free himself. When he woke up, he realized what the dream was about. You see, folks, during the night, Sam's magnificent beard had fallen out of its pouch, and the boy got tangled up in over 5 feet of well-kempt hair. And basically, I guess, had to struggle to get his way out of that. Well, Vista Brinkley passed away in February 1928. Sam Brinkley got tonsillitis nearly 2 years later and was taken to Johnson City for treatment, but died there on December 13th, 1929. He was buried back home in Buladean, North Carolina, and on his gravestone is the same photo of Sam and his magnificent beard that graced the famous postcard. And Rod and I actually got a chance to go over to that cemetery and find Sam's gravestone, which we've taken a picture of and shot some video of, which we're going to share with you. And, well, if you're watching us on YouTube, you've already seen it. But if you haven't, go over to our YouTube channel and check out the video part of this. You'll see a lot of those pictures of Sam, the postcards, and some of the other things that we have managed to discover about him. A very interesting man, too.
Yeah, and we also have to say this, too. We're not saying that he had the world's longest beard. Okay? There were a lot of people, later on, and I think I even mentioned this to you, Steve. Ann Landers even got into a discussion with some of her readers about who had the world's longest beard and so forth. And there was one report of a man out of England who had one that was, 16 feet or something like that. But still, it was the fact of the ability to grow this hair so rapidly, so fast. And then also at the same time, he was a quote-unquote marketing genius, because he was able to go and get 10 cents, 25 cents for a group. Now, if you translated that out into today's economic standards, he was making some money. Much like these people that show up at these conventions and so forth, and they sign for, is it $50, I think, now for autographs and different things like that?
Well, I think
it's
that's
unreal.
A few years old, but yeah, it's quite a bit. That's true.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what they do. But here he was, and then still at the same time, who would have thought to go and market themselves in the New York Sun and say, hey, got an opportunity here for you. Why don't you take advantage of it? Now, I'll show you what I'm made of. Sure enough, he did. And, it kind of falls into this kind of thing, too. We've talked about some of these people, Steve. We've talked about them before. Not only Sam Brinkley that appeared in the circus, but we also have talked about the twins. And remember those twins' names? It's left my mind right now. So,
the Sutherland sisters.
No, I'm talking about the twins, the Siamese twins.
Oh, you're talking about Siamese twins,
yeah.
Chang and Ing Bunker.
Yeah, and then...
Who also lived in North Carolina.
Right, they lived in North Carolina. And then one that's kind of close to where I'm at right now is Martin Van Buren Bates. And Martin Van Buren Bates, just like Brinkley, they visited royalty. I mean, royalty did all these things for him and stuff because it was considered a big deal to be with these people and stuff. And that's just amazing. It's amazing that you've had so many people, and I'm sure we've just scratched the surface, but how many people that came from Appalachia that went on to the circus. And yes, I know it's kind of one of those things of, these people and what they were marketed as, but Sam Brinkley kind of did it in style, the best way possible.
He took control, and he made a life for himself based on the fact that he got tired of shaving. That's pretty much it.
That's it, yeah.
And folks, that's the story of the man with the wondrous beard, Sam Brinkley. Another one of the wonderful stories of Appalachia. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure not to miss any of our stories by subscribing on your favorite podcast app. And we're also on YouTube and TikTok at Stories of Appalachia, and on Instagram at Story Appalachia, where we share short video stories of this place we call home. Again, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Till next we meet, y'all take care. So long, everybody.
So long.